Alright. Well, that was frustrating. Whoa. This chair is much lower than your normal. Sorry. I haven't had the best luck today, guys. Or this week, if we count my my health stuff. Yes. First tech problem was actually at the school this morning. I got to, I kind of rejiggered one of my my lessons in storyboarding. I kind of first did it last term, but then I made some notes to make it work better. Added a bunch of stuff to it that I was kind of excited about. I thought it was going to be pretty fun. Went into, and I had set up a lot of it at the school, and I was going to add stuff to it that I had set up here. So I got to the school a half hour early this morning to kind of assemble what I already had with what I had just put together, and the drive was down. So I couldn't actually do it. I had to switch gears and do next week's lesson today instead, which luckily are more or less interchangeable as far as the order is concerned. But that was annoying. Got there early for no reason. And then, just now, just as I was about to go live, or just as I pressed live, and it said, like, this won't work. You need to update your graphic card. And it was weird. And at first I thought it was like a glitch. And not that I actually needed to update it. Like, I thought it was just like, okay, I'll restart or whatever. And then I realized, okay, I guess I need to do this. And then I had to, it was a whole thing. But we're here now. And we're going to draw Flapper Girl. So hi, Mark, if I didn't already say. And hi, Chantel. And hi, whoever else is with us. I'm supposed to get 2 pages here, but I guess not. How are we all doing tonight? Slightly adjust this. So I searched swing as the keyword. It seemed appropriate. Quick glance at the playlist, though, I think it's going to be pretty weird. I don't think it's going to be very swing-ish, but whatever, that's fine. I think I have a pretty solid idea of what I want to do tonight. This might be a quick one. Well, not like a crazy quick one, but quick-ish one. I kind of will feel bad if it's too quick because of not doing one on Tuesday, but at the same time, I'm still not back to 100%. So it probably would do me some good for it not to be a long one. More fanfic, Chantel? Cool. Is this the one you were working with the last time it came up? Was it Twilight and X-Men or something? Is Forbidden West the name of the story that you're doing? Twilight, Marvel, Forbidden... Oh, okay. So, wait, is Forbidden West another property that I'm not familiar with? Isn't this the first track we heard? Or maybe there wasn't lyrics before. Oh, right. Okay, I remember that now. Gotcha. Deciding on the wide stance or the slightly more classic flapper girl pose. I decided to go with the flapper girl pose because I am doing something a little bit different with this character. Yeah, right? I don't know why. I don't get it. Like, I don't... what other keyword do you think might get us appropriate flapper girl music, like 1920s kind of music? I figured swing would be... I feel like their genre breakdown on this thing just isn't that good. I think that's ultimately what the issue is. Hey, June's up. Been a while. How you doing? Free life is fun. The music is popping. I'll give you that. Is your intent to eventually return to VFS, Junset? Or did you decide it wasn't for you? I don't think we got a notice about that, actually. And if you don't want to get too into it on Twitch, I don't blame you, so feel free to opt out of that question. But I remember it taking a while to sink in because I kind of thought you just were absent. And then I realized that you weren't actually on the attendance anymore. And usually we'll get an email about that, but I don't think it happened this time. This is a deadly flapper girl, a dangerous flapper girl, let's not forget. So I'll detail that later, but you probably get where I'm headed with that. One of my stories to shock short stories was actually set in the 20s, and the lead character was a flapper girl. And it's actually one of my favorite stories that I wrote for that, that I've written so far for that comic. She's obsessed with dancing, but you know, it's prohibition, clubs are closed, bars are closed, she has a hard time, speakeasy she hangs out at keep getting shut down. And then she finds this like mystic jukebox salesman just hanging out in the street and sells her this magic jukebox. And once she starts dancing to it, she can't stop dancing. And at first it's like a dream come true, but she literally dances her feet off, and that's how it ends. I thought it was a pretty fun, very classic kind of Tales from the Crypty kind of story. To ink this feather, I might do it entirely with a brush. Fair enough, Junesup, fair enough. What is filling your time in your non-VFS life then? That free life that we were talking about. A lot of video games, movies. What's that from, Mark? I don't actually know if I know that one. Is that from Tales from the Crypt? It sounds like a Tales from the Crypt kind of one. I just realized I made her head kind of small for the rest of this body. But I can fix it without having to go back to formula, luckily. Oh, maybe I haven't gotten to that one. So I love the Twilight Zone. And I might have said this before, but I actually not this past Christmas, but the Christmas before, I got the complete series on Blu-ray. But life being life, I wasn't always able to put as much time into watching it as I wanted to. So I'm still working on my way through it. I just finished season 3, I think. And, because yeah, I'd always been a fan of it, but I would catch it in reruns on TV, and sometimes I'd see the same episode like 100 times, and the other ones I wouldn't see at all. So yeah, I don't know if I've gotten to that one yet. I feel like I feel like it'd be pretty fresh if I watched it in the past year, though. Yeah, the original series is what I'm talking about. It's honestly one of my favorite TV shows of all time, even without having seen all of it. Heavy makeup around her eyes, I think. Oh yeah, yeah. It was the same thing here for a long time, and so every once in a while there'd be a marathon or whatever. But yeah, I think a lot of times when they did the marathons, they would favor the really iconic episodes. Um, and so yeah, there's some episodes that I've seen a shit ton of times, and then the other ones I still haven't seen at all. But soon I will have seen them all. I kind of try to make it a daily routine to watch an episode with like dinner, pretty much like most nights. Um, as almost like forcing myself to take a break because I don't always do that enough. And um, but then like Marvel or Star Wars or something will put out a new show, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'll focus on that week a bit more often. Might still end up shortening her a little bit. She feels the head to body ratio still feeling a bit on the large side. Yeah, let's shorten these legs, and that's going to be the key here. Not a lot, just a little. What's your favorite episode, Mark? almost there. I think we're shorten the arms a bit too, but my favorite one is honestly pretty boring because it's such a classic, so well known. But I really love the Shatner's or something on the wing episode, the Terror at 30,000 feet or whatever it is. It's the monster is super cheesy looking, but the way that it's shot and the build up to it and everything is pretty great. But there's so many good ones. I'm mixing and matching 2 Flapper Girl outfits, by the way. Hey, JC. Wow. I didn't follow most of that, but welcome. So Mark, tell us about Starfire. Or if you want, I'll draw Starfire next week, because I hadn't decided on next week's anyway. And we could talk about Starfire then. But I'm happy to talk about it tonight though too, if you want. Well, actually, you know what? No, I take that back, because I already have next week's planned. Well, we can still do that the week after or whatever. But next week's I already have planned, because I already was going to do it this week, and then stuff happened. Well, you specifically mentioned like her design in general, or her change in design over the years, because that's something you specifically brought up. Yeah. Well, to start with, I think her design is like, I think the really classic 80s ones, like she's got so little clothing. um, and I realize I create combat fairies here, but like, it's kind of insane. Um, but it might also be justified. Like I have reasons why I did the fairies the way that I did, and she is an alien. So from that perspective, maybe there's reasons to it. And then also because of the alien yellow skin, it almost feels less like nudity and more like it's an extension of her outfit, I guess, in a way. Um, so there's that. I think that the more practical ones actually tend to look better though, because the less practical ones um, uh, feels like it's like it just feels like it's incomplete. Like like from a design standpoint, it's not about the amount of skin, just about the functionality of it and the way it fits together. Because the more practical ones include like tech, like the belt buckles and stuff like that, look kind of alien and kind of neat. The New 52, I think, is intended to be yellow-ish. Like it gets a bit more orange, but in that one, actually, yeah, that's very true. Um, and I'm actually surprised that by New 52 they weren't kind of like narrowing it down. I actually kind of like the Teen Titans from 2003 version of it. and I think that could be transposed. And actually, the one from the Teen Titans Judas Contract animated movie works really well as well. Although when it comes to the animated ones, the actual art style is so drastically different too, though, that it's kind of a different. Um, which version is your favorite? Would it be that one, Rick? And actually, which one was the Me Too part? Because I didn't look down fast enough. Or I guess. And what made you bring it up in the first place? By the way, did it just come to you, or did you come across this infographic, or 2003? Okay. Yeah, it kind of makes sense, and it's like, as far as like the sex appeal that they were clearly going for with the more skimpy outfits, like it's still there. Like it's super tight. Like you can see your form and everything like that. But it also makes some fighting sense. You know, doesn't feel like it's gonna fall apart. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, but I mean, like, I feel like you could say the same about a lot of. Well, I mean, like, okay, like Batman and Spider-Man haven't changed that much. Like some of the really iconic characters, but like, I don't know. Like, what about some of the other Titans, like Beast Boy and stuff like that? Are they like pretty consistent across the years? It could very well be that with Starfire, I bet a lot of it honestly has to do with the amount of skin that is being shown, because that probably at first was like classic '80s comics, and then for the animated stuff, like they're naturally going to be told to pull it back, even if they wanted to embrace that for censorship purposes, they probably couldn't. And then for updated versions in the comics, it's going to be like there's always going to be like pushback on that. So people start to wise up and they're like, no, 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 let's get a little bit more realistic here. And then some new artist steps in for some revival and they're like, no, I want to go back to the classic, and they redesign it and they go even further with it. It probably has a lot to do with that, I would assume. When did she first come out? I'm thinking she's like 1980 probably is pretty close to the beginning. I'm thinking she came out in the 70s probably at the earliest. Would be my guess. Let's keep this. How you doing, JC? He was briefly. So she's got smoke coming up on both sides over here. One from a cigarette and one from a gun. I'm also going to pull this line down a little bit more because I got it a bit higher than they typically are, and it'll give me more room to add a weirdly long necklace that seemed to be really common back then. I'll start with a short one and then we'll add one. Actually, I think it's one big long necklace. They double up around their neck or triple up. That might be what it actually is. What do you mean? Like with the ever-changing outfits, you mean? Or you mean the same as in that she's consistent throughout? I feel like what's under the cloak has changed a fair bit, but the cloak is always there, and that sometimes makes her look pretty consistent. Have you watched Titans, Mark? The live-action one? Okay. Raven has gone through, like, because she has that kind of swimsuit looking thing, right? But then other times she's a little bit more conservative. Um, it's not the best. They're trying very, very hard to be dark and edgy. As a background show, I watched all 3 seasons, and season 3 is probably the strongest. but it also pissed me off the most because they adapt a pretty, like, I don't know the Titans themselves that well, but they adapt something from a related but non-Titan. Um, well, I say they adapt something from a Batman story that makes sense because Robin's part of it and stuff, so it fits in. But they just like, even though it's one that they've done the animated adaptation of already, and even though the show spends an entire season of TV on it, so it's like at least 6 hours, um, the animated version is more coherent and less rushed, um, which I feel like is a common thing that I say about those animated movies compared to the live action ones. But yeah, like that last season, like it's the fastest moving. It doesn't meander as much. It's the most comic booky. There's more action. Like it just, I think it's a more enjoyable one. But when you actually see the story they're trying to do and their execution of it, you're just kind of like, why are you doing these things? Some of it I get because they're trying to adapt it to make sense with the characters that they're using that aren't all the same characters that the original story used. But not all the changes were necessary. The most important changes were not necessary. Yeah. Like I said, trying very hard to be edgy. My theory with it, by the way, the showrunner, or at least one of the showrunners, is Akiva Goldsman, who actually, he's an Academy Award winning screenwriter. He wrote A Beautiful Mind, I think, but he also wrote Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. And in his defense, I think he was kind of doing what was asked of him, because there was kind of a mandate to make Batman more kid friendly at that point. But so I think when he had the chance to do this, like he heard the notes, and he's like, okay, you want dark Batman? I'm gonna give you the darkest thing possible, and he just tries so hard to make it edgy. And I'm fine with edgy if it makes sense to be edgy, but it doesn't always make sense to be edgy. Or maybe this could have worked as an edgy show, but again, it's so clear how hard they're trying that it kind of kills it a little bit. Speaking of Batman, by the way, I watched the Batman again on the weekend. Um, my I was already at that point feeling fairly laid up, and so I was like, all right, I'm gonna spend, and I'm walking distance from the theater here, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna sit for this 3 hour movie again. And I've been wanting to watch it again since I saw it, but that was that was how I finally got myself out to do it. And something I realized, I never thought of this before. I heard there was, like, I have different YouTube channels I put on the background a lot, talk about like movies and this and that, right, when I'm working. And I heard at least two different people um, comment on how much rain is in the movie, but they're putting it almost like a criticism, as if it's like a flaw, like as if it's an unrealistic amount of rain, um, and they're just doing it for the sake of atmosphere. And they're not coming out and saying it, but that's kind of the tone of it. And then watching it again, I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what, like, clearly these people just know nothing outside of their LA bubble, because this rain ain't nothing if you live in Vancouver, or even Seattle for that matter. Several other cities. Okay. Well, here, let's take a look at it so we can talk about it. Come on, Discord. Wake the fuck up. There it is. Oh, oh. Okay. So really not that different from the 81 then. What year was that? Did it say what year? I didn't see a year on there. She debuted in a previous story inserted within DC Comics present. Oh, so that was the same one. Then it wasn't just similar. It's created by Marv Wolfman and George Perez. The name Starfire first appeared for an unrelated character in a DC comic in the story The Answer Man of Space. Oh wait, in 1963. Oh, the name. Okay. So they used the name, but it was right. Okay. Gotcha. On the same page. What is your Titans, Teen Titans fandom like, Mark? I actually know very little of them, to be honest. I know Robin fairly well, just because I have always been a Batman fan, but yeah, I never watched it. I have, I think, Teen Titans Go on my Netflix watch list. To be put on the background finally to finally watch that, but yeah, I never. It wasn't that I disliked it. I never had it on. And then is Young Justice basically just another Teen Titans, and they just wanted to mix up the name, or is that a completely different team? I feel like it's mostly the same characters, right? Mostly, if not all. Right. So maybe like a new generation, kind of some of the old, but a bunch of the new. What vice versa. Oh, okay. And it's not their like sidekicks. It's not Speedy and what? Kid Flash, I guess it is. In a universe where the Flash is a character, by the way, it's so weird that Speedy is the name of Green Arrow's sidekick. Like what? Like where? Who figured that out? Like, I mean, granted, Kid Flash is a better name for Flash's sidekick than Green Arrow's sidekick. That would be even weirder, but still. I've heard really good things about that show, but have not watched. By the way, if Brad and CJ are watching it again, good to briefly meet you for a awkward minute last week right after the stream. I came to class for a 9 a.m. class last Friday because that class was usually at 9 a.m. and it turned out it was actually at 1 last week. And so I was in the wrong room for a while, and by coincidence met, well, actually, you know what, come to think of it, I was a bit befuddled, so I don't know. I think it was Brad that I spoke to, and I got the impression CJ was there, but I didn't actually get to chat too much, so. If you are there, guys, correct me, clue me in, and sorry for not being more chatty. I was right. So Brad, is it you that I met briefly when I came too early for class last week? That makes sense. Actually, wasn't Teen Titans Go and My Little Pony made by the same studio? I feel like it was. Well, actually, Teen Titans was obviously Warner Brothers. Was My Little Pony Warner Brothers? It might have been the same creative team. I know someone that worked on My Little Pony, or the My Little Pony movie anyway. I don't know her super well, but that was at DHX. What was it called? Studio. I feel like it could be, because Titans Go, like I haven't watched a lot of it. I'm just kind of speaking on what I've heard, but doesn't it have a tendency to kind of break the fourth wall and kind of do some kind of surreal shit like My Little Pony? Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I would like Teen Titans Go, but just haven't done it yet. I remember somebody describing an episode to me where Robin does something to piss off the animators, and the next scene he's like really badly drawn. Yeah, that looked pretty funny actually. And if that's the premise, I'm sure there's probably a lot of references that would be right up my alley as well. Speaking of which, not a comedy, but I watched Mank last night finally. I've been wanting to watch that ever since it was announced, but I also felt like I need to be in the right mood for it. And that mood just wasn't coming for a while. JC is back. For a whole ass minute. I think you've been gone for more than a minute, JC. JC. We're trying to figure out what number to call. I think Mark lit a candle for you. Well, I don't know if that necessarily guarantees same studio, but I think it is. I like Tara Strong. She seems cool. I follow her on Twitter, but I barely ever check Twitter, so I don't know what she's been tweeting these days, but when I was a little bit more active on it, I usually got a kick out of her tweets. And any interview I was doing with her, she seemed pretty cool. Agreed. And her name sounds like she could be a superhero from the 40s. Tom and Tara Strong. Because Tom Strong is already a character from the 40s. Hence where my mind went then. Eh. Hey, Annika. I can add it to the request list, sure. Forgot how to spell among for a second. A little tired. It is on the list, Annika. And currently, my request list is primarily made up of requests from one person, so it might actually jump yours up a little bit. Give him a break. It won't be next week because I have that one planned since I had to cancel this Tuesdays, but maybe the week after. Where'd this like king come from again? Was that because like Mark called me king of something and then you stuck with it? I don't remember. It's barely even a bikini in some iterations, JC. It's your only thing? Okay. I won't ask questions then, Annika. But glad to have you with us here tonight. Yeah, and it's almost more like body paint almost. It doesn't even look like an outfit. Been a problem for years. But actually, you know what the more prevalent problem is? Like Starfire, obviously the outfit's pretty skimpy, and she's not the only one out there. But like, sometimes the costume isn't necessarily because like Superman's outfit is like there's not a lot of skin, but it's like basically painted on him and stuff, right? But a huge difference between him and so many of the female superheroes is He's always standing in that heroic, empowering pose, and then the girl has to have her back to the camera with her ass sticking out, and somehow finding a way to show her boobs and her butt at the same time, and like has to look sexy, and like that I think is more sexualizing than the outfits they're wearing usually. Starfire maybe being an exception to that, but. Did you ever see that meme that was going around where it was like, if if male characters posed like female characters, and it was all the Avengers, all the dudes, and they all had their like asses out, like their back to the camera, with their asses clenched. Is this Happy Birthday that we're hearing right now? These playlists, man. I don't know about these playlists sometimes. For that meme, yeah, I agree. Hey, Abby. I don't know what else we were referring to that sentence would have made sense to, JC. How you doing, Abby? Hey, can't complain about that again. Oh, oh. I'm not opposed to evening the playing field, just in general. Okay, you know, weirdly, this is Happy Birthday we're listening to right now, but it seems more thematically appropriate to this drawing than almost everything else I picked, or showed up on this list, even though I asked for Swing. So maybe we should just take it. Ooh, pretty slick the way you just slipped that in there to fish for a happy birthday, JC. But it's okay. Happy birthday. Birthday's on a Friday, too. Do you have any plans? Well, your birthday isn't tomorrow? Or you weren't trying to slip it in? Wow. You really got me with that one, JC. We've been duped, Abby. We've been bamboozled. finished her cigarette over here. Fun fact. Drawing smoke is extremely satisfying. It can also be like, you can defy physics and have it kind of warp it around whatever way you want. You can use it to like frame your image and stuff sometimes. Since she has two sources of smoke, I considered doing something a bit crazier with it, but I decided not to. My color list is pretty long at this point. I'm definitely going to color her in probably a pretty limited color palette with some, like, it's going to be pretty dark. Or film noir. It's going to be dark even just the way I'm about to ink it, or finish inking it soon, because there's going to be a lot of spot blacks, but... what are the two movies, Abby? This would be slightly before Bogart's time, though, really. This is like 1920s. I mean, Bogart would have been alive, and he might have even been acting already. He did some stuff when he was pretty young in the 30s, I think, but... Or young compared to when he was most famous, anyway. I really want to see Everything Everywhere All at Once. I don't think I've heard of You Won't Be Alone. I don't know, man. All right, have a good one, JC. Huh. Well, color me intrigued. Although Terrence Malick can be a bit much sometimes, so... sounds good. Whereabouts is the Fifth Avenue Theater you're talking about? Like, in Vancouver, obviously, and Fifth Avenue, presumably, but I'm trying to think, like, how well I know that area. Like, I need a landmark or something to associate. Spot blacks, then I got a couple other touches to add here. Okay. Okay. Okay, that puts a bit more context. Yeah, I've never spent a ton of time around kits. And when I have been there, I think it's mostly just been to Kits Beach. I'm thinking I'd probably go pretty limited in the environment. I'm thinking maybe outside, like maybe super dark, but there'll be some like maybe out of focus lights in the background and stuff. Like it's super late and just kind of stepping away. The club's off in the distance. And exactly what colors I would use, I don't know yet, but I would probably keep it fairly desaturated. I don't think I would want it to be too poppy. So smoky. I'm not okay. No, obviously noir vibes. Not going 100% noir on it. Because true noir didn't really kick in till the 40s. I am. I have a couple things planned that are gonna go full noir. That I'm pretty excited about, actually. And so I'm purposely holding myself back from going too deep into it, because there'll be a while there where I'm doing a lot of it. But film noir is one of my favorite aesthetics. I could see that, but maybe stepped out afterwards. Speakeasy. I went to a Prohibition-themed murder mystery birthday party a couple months ago, actually. That was very fun. That was Lori's birthday, in fact. And Lori and her husband Cam are a big part of what got me streaming, because Cam is a big streamer himself. Zequaz he's a gaming streamer. Yeah, it was a pretty fun night. The character I pulled for the murder mystery, though, I had to speak in it was a Russian accent, I think, and I'm not super confident in my Russian accent. Everybody else's character was French. I could do a pretty decent French accent, or at least a decent enough one for a party atmosphere. So I was struggling a bit, but I had fun. I'm doing her jacket, by the way, except for the like the cuffs and the collar and stuff, as a pure spot black, no highlights or anything. And I even wondered about dropping this on a black background so that those details almost just get lost, but you'll feel them because of the parts you can see in a kind of a Sin City-ish kind of way. I might experiment a little bit with that too. Knuckle there. To be honest, I think I would, if I was a bit more energetic today, I think I would be tempted to get the brush and maybe do some excess stuff. But I'm kind of low energy today. Didn't sleep nearly well enough last night, and still trying to be careful not to overdo it until I'm back up to snuff. For anybody who doesn't know the story, I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but I'm not infectious, so if there's anybody from the school that just heard me imply that I'm sick, don't worry, I'm not like sick. I have more of a physical issue that I gotta ride out a little bit. I'm not shy about what it is, I just kind of tired of explaining it. It's a spot. Oops, not quite. But wait, there's more. Gotta do the feather. Feather is done, and then trying to decide if I want to use this for the other tassel thing too, but I think it's gonna be too thick, so let's just a cigarette itself as a Sharpie, or as in red. I mean, I could do that easy enough, but if I'm gonna color it, that'll just almost become a pain when I scan it. Because it'll scan as black, kind of, if I scan it in the setting that I need to in order to color it properly. The one I'm going to do on Tuesday, by the way, next week, that's going to involve some color. Some live on-stream color. I got some plans. This is one that's been on. Well, actually, okay. If you've been, I won't say what it is for anybody that didn't notice. I kind of already gave away what it was gonna be, because it was supposed to be this Tuesday until I decided to cancel it. But I've had this idea for I think at least a year, and then I kept either favoring other more topical fan art ones or requests. So I will. Oh, just for the I mean, it'll still be the same issue, but I can maybe work around it a little bit easier in that case. Maybe. Actually, no, Mark, I don't think that's really going to show up much, to be honest, if I do it. Like, if I loaded this thing up with more black, I think the contrast would make it pop, but I don't think... There's so much white on this page still, I don't know if that's even going to show up. But I promise, color next Tuesday. And maybe the Tuesday after that, we'll do Among Us for Annika. But in the meantime, let's sign this and we'll call it a day or a night. Or a morning, as Mark always insists. But there we go. There's our deadly dangerous flapper girl. I actually had the idea. I had a note for myself. Oh, flapper girl would be fun for the stream, and I was gonna draw her dancing like classic flapper girl, and then I just thought, gun will be fun. And I decided that I think yesterday, as a matter of fact. But anyway, there she is. Kind of wish I could wear more narrow hips actually. I feel like the flapper is like usually like it's such a straight shape to that dress, but whatever. That aside, I don't think it's relatively. But anyway, yeah. So so that's it, guys. Thanks, Mark. Have a good night. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Should be around for both streams next week. I kind of think I figured out what kind of like aggravated what I got my ailment. So I should be able to avoid that, hopefully, but we'll find out. Flapper Noir is a good name for it, Abby. Anyway, yeah, good night, everybody, and I'll see you next time.